and I am currently pursuing a professional certificate in Python for data science because data analysis is my favorite part of research. And I got interested in this project to help reduce the gap between the public and science by making citizen participant of scientific discoveries and research. I believe a big part of being a scientist is to be able to communicate what you do, and involving the public is the best way to do so. In here, you can see a couple of the activities that I do as a scientist. The size of the bubble means the time spent in each of the activities. So being stuck on a line of code is what I do the most.
Corinder's asking for it to be bigger, but I don't know that it can go bigger. It's the full size of my screen.
Yeah, no, I don't see any options. Are you on your phone?
No, no, I make it big on my house. If you know what I thought, when it has zoom option, and then you got zoom mention, you can make it bigger from there.
But you can see the main text?
Not well.
Can you hear her though? She's
Yeah.
really just talking about what she's saying. It is small text underneath, but it's really just what she's saying.
Right.
Yeah, in the next slides, we will have mostly pictures, so you don't really need to read anything. If you're having
little prompts for her, I think, to remind her what to talk about. Me too. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So in this call, we have with us Ronnie, which is the science communication leader for eOceans, and Christine, which is the founder and the lead scientist. And I would leave the virtual floor now to Christine. She will explain us a little more about eOceans.
Yes, hi everyone. I'm Christine, I'm the founder, and I'm a marine scientist. I've been studying the ocean since 1996. And I've been leading projects using crowdsourced data for since early 2000s. And this project, I'm not only developing the tools that we'll use for this project, which is eOceans mobile app, but also leading the global project. So the global project consists of so far 20 countries around the world where we're all working together to understand the global picture. And so eOceans is a platform which includes a mobile app and dashboard and analytics to help speed up the process of collecting data. And the idea is that every observation you make in the ocean is, even if it's 5 minutes apart, many observations, all are different pieces of the puzzle when the ocean is so dynamic and variable. So all these little pieces of the puzzle combine, we stitch them together for the local, the regional, the national, and the global picture.
So for my part of the project, I am based in Belgium. And as you can see, the coast of Belgium is really tiny. It's only about 65 kilometers long, and it's also quite shallow, with an average of 20 meters depth. Belgians are really organized people, and you can see that here in their spatial plan that they made for their exclusive economic zone. Each activity done at the ocean has a specific space designated for it. So for example, here in purple, we have our areas dedicated to renewable energy, and these are mainly windmills. But there are also areas for industrial and commercial activities such as sun dredging. There are also quite big protected areas, mostly for the protection of seabirds and the ecosystem that you can find in the dunes and in biogenic reefs made out of polychaetes tubes. Fishing is allowed everywhere, but with some exceptions. So how does the coast look like? It's more or less like this. It's mainly dunes, and estuaries, but as much as I would like it for it to look more like the pictures on the left, it mostly looks like the picture on the top right, with a big urbanization facing the coastline. So what Belgians like to do in the coastline varies. They're mostly taking hikes or walks along the coast, visiting the nature reserve, but they also do sports such as kite surfing, surfing, or sailing. And a special thing that the Belgians like to do is to rent these pedal cars that you can see in the left corner of the screen, and just bike along the coast. A special activity that is done here is the picture on the top. And these are the garnal fishers, which is the shrimp fishers. And they are the only country that still does this type of traditional fishery using Belgian horses that are quite big and strong. And this happens mainly in the Oostenkerke. So what has been happening in the coastal area during the lockdown is that there was a small amount of areas used by tourists. We had here in Belgium not super strict lockdown, because you were allowed to go outside and sport and take walks as long as you were keeping social distance. So the coastal areas were not full of tourists, just by locals. And as we can see, the nature loves lockdown. Sea rockets, for example, in the left corner, grew fully because of the tranquility that was in the beach. It was also really nice for, yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you. I think I'm still on the same
sorry.
The same slide.
Yes. Here. You can see, the sea rocket is the one on the left corner.
Yes, Curator?
I was going to say, you know, like the ocean, like when it goes back to the other page, not this one, the other one.
The previous slide?
Yeah, this one.
Yeah.
I was going to say, like, can it be anywhere, or does it have to be especially Belgium? Like, how long?
The kite?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How long is it?
The coast of Belgium.
Yeah.
It's only 65 kilometers long,
Right.
the whole coast. But then they do have the exclusive economic zone that reach up to 200 kilometers, nautical miles to the ocean.
Right. And why I also know, like on the top, what they're hitting on.
When
in the water. In the water.
In the water, yeah.
And they
the seahorses.
Yeah.
The horse. Well, not seahorses.
What popular about them?
They go there to fish for shrimps. They have like a trolling net, and they just get the horses inside. They prepare the net, and they take the horses out of the water, and the net is full of shrimps. Is that what you were asking?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, back to what is happening for the coastal wildlife. There was also a big increase of seabirds in the natural parks. Storks, for example, in the down part of the slide, were seen nesting in the protected area called the Sin, which is a donor area for special protection of birds. And there were also a big number of the common seals that were spotted in the coast of a city called Ostend. But COVID had also had quite a big impact, a negative impact, because it was also reported an increase of waste and trash in the dunes and in the beach. Although the beaches are cleaned daily, there was still a lot of trash. But after the lockdown, there was increase on the appreciation from the public to the coast. In the news, we can see that there was increase of people swimming in the sea or taking more corona walks, they call it like this here. And it has also shown that the ocean can ease the anxiety of being in a lockdown. In the news in the top right, we can see that they talk about the ocean as medicine. So this is the sort of data that we would like to have in the app. It's just an example of the sort of activities that we would like to track in real time to get an idea of what is happening in the coast during COVID-19. And that is basically the project that we are talking about here, our ocean during COVID-19. So this is, for example, a map. This is global project. It's happening, as Christine said, in over 20 countries so far. And this map is the recopilation of the data that eOcean has for other projects. And ideally, what we want to be able to do is to have these these maps in a daily basis where the bubbles correspond to the data that the users of the app has given us. Yeah, you had a question?
Yeah, I was going to ask, is it just for iOS or Android and Android too?
This? Sorry, I didn't understand the question.
Like has it been Android too, or does it have to be iOS?
I cannot understand.
The app.
The app, yeah.
Has it been like, yeah.
We will talk about the app in a few slides.
Right.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, Rooney will tell you now a little bit more about the app soon. But the eOceans has a mobile application that allows for real-time data collection at sea, offline, and includes effort and absence, which is essential. And here is a little bit of an explainer video of how the project goes. Here.
Economy is valued at 1.5.
Sorry, it started a little bit before.
The ocean economy is valued at $1.5 trillion per year, providing essential products and services to 1 billion people. Many threats, like plastic pollution, ship collisions, and overfishing, have significant costs. On the other hand, there is ample opportunity to celebrate. Billions have been spent on conservation. Species have come back from the brink of extinction. Fisheries have improved. Tourism has value. Protected areas have grown. Although marine researchers work hard to track these changes, a lack of data means their discoveries often lag years behind ocean change. eOceans can help. Our platform was designed by Dr. Christine Ward-Page, an expert in crowdsourcing ocean data. Our mobile app allows all ocean explorers to become scientists by simply logging what they see. Our analytical tools provide researchers with real-time insights to monitor oceans by species, areas, and issues. Through our community feature, explorers follow how their data are being used to answer complex questions. eOceans is on a mission to help communities and researchers make real-time discoveries to celebrate success, or to mitigate and adapt to change on timescales that keep pace with business, society, and ocean change. Contact eOceans to get a team started in your community today. For the oceans, or us.
Yeah, that was a cute video. So back to the presentation. Yeah. I will let Ronnie explain a little bit more about the app now.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Claudia. You might be the smallest coastline that we're working with. I'm not 100% sure on that, but it'd be interesting to see your comparison to the others. And it's always so enlightening for Christine and I, who are based in Atlantic Canada, to hear from our regional researchers. So yeah, so a little bit more about the app. You've heard about this project, and it's being facilitated through the eOceans app. So this is our call to action to you today, is to participate in this project. We are asking for you to download the eOceans app, track your activities, and log your observations.
On the app store or what?
On the App Store, yes. Yeah. So it's available on the Google Play and the Apple Store. So good question. Yeah, and we're going to ask you to share what you're observing and then follow. We want you to think about this app as your activity tracker. So kind of like your own personal digital log of what you're doing on the ocean and what you're seeing. And then while you're tracking that, you're also seamlessly sharing to science. So next slide.
Yeah.
Great. So this is what you're going to see when you open the app for the first time. In this example here, you'll see that there's a lot of example logs. As soon as you start logging observations, this is something similar to what you will see. But first, to log your first observation, you're going to need to decide if you would like to log a single observation or auto track your observations. So the difference is a single observation is just a single snapshot of what you're doing. This can be when you're, on the beach, lounging around, and you think, oh, I'd really love to just share to science right now. That would be a moment that you could take in time and observe what you're seeing. And the auto track function is great for when you're doing continual activity along the coastline or on the water. So if you're on a boat ride, for instance, or if you're walking along the beach from one end to another, you can set the auto track function. And that's
why not. Just why not? Is it free or paid?
One more time.
Is it free or paid? Like, is it free to buy it or you have to pay it?
You don't have to pay for the app.
Oh, yes, no, this is free. Thank you, Claudia. Yeah, this is it's free to log your observations.
Right.
So the auto track function is great for when you're doing something continuous, and then you set it, and as you go on your journey from one end of the beach to the other, or on the boat ride, you just add observations as you go. And this tracks your effort. So what you are seeing and also what you are not seeing. So it is just as important to track those zeros, those moments where you are on the water, but you're not seeing anything. Okay, next. So after you've made the decision about what type of observation you are going to log, either the single or the auto track, you're going to see these next few pages up on your screen. So going from left to right, your first page you're going to see is when you take your picture. So you're going to take a picture of the scene that you're seeing. It doesn't have to be every animal that you're recording or every sailboat that's out there, just a general picture of where you are to set the context. And we don't need people to get close to animals or people or others in any way for this to be a useful log. And then when you take your photo, it's also going to stamp your location, your latitude and longitude, as well as your date and time. This really ensures the real-time aspect of your data collection. Next, you choose your activity. So what are you doing as you take that log? Are you sailing, surfing, beach walking? That really matters to what you're going to see, because in each of those activities, you're going to be experiencing something different. So after you've done those two steps, you click next on your screen, and it will bring you to the second part, the middle picture. Now you're going to choose the wildlife, the animals that you see. So on that drop-down list of choose animals, we have like 500,000 species to choose from, as well as common names. But if you do not know the species or the type of animal you're looking at, that's perfectly okay. There is an option to choose there too. And the number of what you're seeing. So do you see 5 seagulls, 5 herring gulls, 10 herring gulls? That would be going into your count section. Now, if you don't see any animals, that is perfectly fine and still a valuable log.
I just want, no, the next question I want to ask is, how many people you can have?
How many people use the app?
Yeah.
Christine, do you know our current numbers? I think it's over 900 right now.
It's 860 right now.
860, yeah, thank you. Yeah, so even if you do not see any animals, that is still a very valid log and valuable. And on this section, you can just hit the skip button if you do not. Either way, you're going to get taken to the next picture, which is that final one off to the right, and you're going to choose the humans that you see. Now, this human part is, do you see people surfing or boating or walking? That would be when you log that. I see 5 surfers or 10 kayakers. And then you can also add pollution. So pollution is human generated. If you see plastic bottles or face masks and gloves have also been a very common pollution item during these days. This is not an exhaustive list with the human activities. So if you ever see something that is not included in this list, please let us know and give us feedback as we're continually growing it. There's also the option to skip this section too if you do not have any humans to observe. And then you hit the next button as well, the next on the slide. Perfect, thanks. So after you've logged everything, you're going to see a final page that's going to ask you to verify everything that you've seen. In this example, the person saw boat with drag nets and also reported noise pollution, as well as fishing longline and an unknown shark, and had the counts off to the side there. So what you can do before you finish is add some notes about what you're seeing. So this is where you can add even more context. Say you saw a whale, which you reported, and you also saw fishing line that was just floating around, or ghost gear. But in reality, what was happening is that you saw an entangled whale. So those two things were interacting with each other. This is where you would mention that in the notes section with hashtags. So you'd use hashtag whale entanglement. And this data is will help us understand more about how your observations are interacting together. And then you save, and then you have submitted your very first log to eOceans. After, we hope that you'll follow along with this project on our community channel. So on your app, if you download it, you'll see that it's in coming soon mode. It's in its very final stages of being completed. And here you're going to see the eOceans global team for collecting data, as well as your regional team, which you'll be able to join, and others' observations. It's just kind of like our news feed, if you will. So you can also see all of your previously collected data on your dashboard. This is the web application part that accompanies your mobile application. So this can be found on any browser, Chrome, for instance. And on the dashboard is where you can go and edit your previous observations, as well as add photos. This feature is coming. Add photos to your observations. Say you took nice photos with your SLR camera or your underwater camera, not with your phone. This is where you can add those photos to your observations that you recorded with your phone. This is also the place to see the global effort of data collection. So on your phone, you're really only going to see the regional snapshot, and here you get to explore how data is being collected elsewhere. Also, if you are a researcher and you are interested in analyzing your own personal data for whatever purposes you might need, you can have the option to download your data in a standardized format for you to use. That is an upgrade that we will be offering soon. And this dashboard is also in the works of being released very shortly. Great. So As I mentioned, all data that's being logged right now goes to the eOceans, ocean, and COVID-19 project globally. So one important fact is that the data that you collect is your own. So only you and the teams you decide to share with have access to your data, especially the numbers part, like your GPS location. This very much ensures security so that not just everybody knows where you maybe saw an endangered species, or if you were in a location that shouldn't attract a lot of people, it needs to be protected. So only you and the teams you choose to share with can see that data. And soon you will see a team for your region. So you will see a team for the Belgian coast and led by Claudia. And as you're there.
Hi. Sorry, I want to say, when you say 18, what do you mean by that?
When I say a team, what was that second part?
Like what do you mean by a team? Like,
oh, yeah. Claudia, if you go back 2 slides, it really shows it well.
Yeah.
So here's what I mean by a team. Teams are groups of people who are trying to answer a question. And for us, we are a team right now trying to understand how the oceans are being affected by COVID-19. And for you on your end, you'll be able to see the teams of researchers in the community channel, which you can then follow. So these are 2 examples that were given, the global and the Colombian team, but in your region, you would see the Belgian team and you would be able to join them and share your data. Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, how do you have your own team?
Oh, how do you have?
Yeah.
Yeah, great question. So that function is coming pretty soon. People who have a research question they would like to ask can form their own team. This part is part of our paid services. So while it's completely free to upload data, if you would like to have a team, that is where you would upgrade, and you would have a subscription to the eOceans platform.
Right, and you know how much what the price are.
We're still working that out for pricing and what that will be like. So that'll be continually updated on our eOceans website, as well as if you sign up for our newsletter, you will see updates about that too.
Right, and I'm in the UK. I'm in England, and I just want to know if it will work in England.
Oh, do we have a team in England? Not yet,
No.
actually. So we need a principal investigator. So as Claudia leads the team in Belgium, we need a scientist to lead the team in England. So very good point. I'm hoping that we do have a team very soon, but you can still collect data right now without having the team, and it will still be useful. So definitely continue.
So right now I'm on the app, and I take some pictures, and I share it on anywhere.
What was that last part?
Like, can I share it anywhere? Like on a social media, or like on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, and I share it on my social media.
Oh, yes. So that sharing function of like directly sharing it to your social media accounts, I don't think it's on the way. That is a great function, and it'll be available soon. Right now, we're kind of asking people to manually share it. So what you could do is post to a couple of our Facebook pages that that Claudia will be talking about at the end of this, where you can share some of your observations. But right now it's a manual thing that you share what you saw.
Right, I think.
Okay.
Thank you. And yeah, so I think I last left off that there will be a team for your region. And then also there will hopefully be more teams. So as Corinda pointed out, you can form your own teams if you so desire. And you can also choose to follow other teams yourself. And Claudia, go ahead. I think you have the FAQs on the next slide.
So yeah, some of the frequently asked questions is whether the app works offline, and yes, it does. You have to download it where you are connected to the Wi-Fi, and it can sync your logs once you are online, but you can collect data offline. And you don't need to take a picture of everything you see, as Ronnie said. Just take a photo of the area, which provides the context on what you and others log. You can record a few of 100 observations, is up to you. And so if you would like to know more, become an Ocean partner and spread the word about the app, and you can share your logs with us. As an Ocean partner, you will be recognized in our website. We will have the logo of your dive school or whatever you are. And you will also help us record in data. So far, we don't have any Ocean partners yet for Belgium, but there are 2 interested, so I hope we can make the agreement soon. And if you would like to follow eOceans, you can follow us on Facebook, on YouTube. You will have the little animation that we projected on Instagram and Twitter. And please use these hashtags that you can see here. Yeah.
I was going to ask, if people don't have Wi-Fi, how would it work? Like if people do not have Wi-Fi, or they will have data only, and it will work. Yeah.
If you have access to any sort of internet, you can download the app, and you can use it offline when you go to the coast, and you can record what you observed. And then when you're back to a place where you can get internet access, then the app will sync your logins, so you will have them.
Right.
Okay. So that was all for us. If you want to contact me, you have my email address here in the bottom, sorry. And thank you for coming. If you have any other questions, feel free to ask, or any commentary that you would like to do.
I definitely want to share with people. I think this is interesting because I'm a disability learning, and I think this is interesting for blind people to learn.
Or why people would use the app?
Yeah.
Because if you are interested in sharing what you see with scientists, or if you're interested on your own to have a record of what you see in the ocean, you could use the eOcean app, and you will have it there for you to use.
But if I don't have any like phone or like tablet, and I still sign up on the website, or
If you don't have a phone to download the app to?
yeah.
Well, I guess maybe this is Ronnie will know better, but maybe you can note what you see and then upload it to it in the dashboard. We wouldn't have a photo, I guess, of what you will see.
Yeah, it is very hinging on a smartphone.
Yeah.
So having a smartphone is sort of a minimum, and unfortunately right now it's still in English. So we're just getting started. So we hope to make things a little bit more accessible that way, across languages and across for other people with more icon based, for example, but right now we're just getting started, so it is in English and it is dependent on a smartphone. We've previously collected data through paper, so we've been doing this kind of work since 2011 around the world, but it's been very hard to collect latitude and longitude accurately, and really collecting the data in real time is really important. So that's why you can't add data after the fact.
Okay.
Yeah, I see some comments in the chat here.
Yeah, I'll just elaborate further on that note. If yes, absolutely do take logs as you're on your way to the dive site. But as I just mentioned, after you come up from the dive, you can certainly log what you just saw during the dive by just taking a picture of the horizon. Obviously, you can't take a photo, well, underwater with your phone, maybe in some cases, but you can take a photo of your horizon, log what you saw while you were there, because, you know, we're kind of using the boat as the location of the dive site. That's how it will be associated. And then afterwards on your dashboard, you can upload the photos that you took with your underwater camera if you so desire.
Yeah. And I would also add in the stationary point counts. So the first ones that Ronnie mentioned, she mentioned I forget, single versus transect. Single, I like the idea also of setting an alarm so that you're doing, scientifically, it's nice to take intervaled samples, like random samples. So if you set an alarm, for example, to take one every 5 minutes or every 10 minutes, then you really get the dynamic nature of your coastline. Like, what are you seeing now? What are you seeing now? Especially with human uses can change, you know, all of a sudden a bunch of people come by to surf or to sail and then there's nothing. So getting all those pieces of the picture together is really nice. So like we have a goal of getting 100 observations per person per day, sort of as a minimum. So making it as easy to use as possible to get as many observations. And then also you think of it more as an activity tracker. So how much time have you spent in the ocean? How many projects have you participated in? How many observations have you made? So that's why in the dashboard really keeps track of all that stuff, your contributions, to help encourage more participation and stay involved. So a lot of citizen science projects to date have been, you know, you give data to a scientist, they go and they write it up in a peer-reviewed publication that is, you know, $200 to access or whatever it is. And so really we're trying to change that to make it much more engaging and much more you know, real time. And so when you are sharing your data with a team or a researcher, you're actually able to follow them and see what you're contributing to in real time. And that's one of the important features, is that you can't download the data, because as soon as you download the data and then you start playing with it elsewhere, you lose track of what you've contributed to. And I view that these are your observations and your data. So you know, in my mind, the days of the past where scientists, including myself, took observations from citizen scientists and then, you know, stored it on my desktop and then published it, are gone. Like, I don't want that anymore. I want to make it easy for everyone to stay engaged and to stay involved. And that for people, communities, to also create their own teams so that they can have their own analysis without the need for like scientists' attention. To be able to answer that question, you essentially have me and our team we also have another PhD that's a quantitative scientist, a marine scientist in your pocket. We also have another quantitative ecologist in addition to myself, who has done a lot of citizen science work. So we're in the back end analyzing these data and and thinking of ways to make it accessible to everyone that's participated. Glad that helped. Yeah.
Well, no, that's why you know the app, and you like you can write download your content, and you have to download your content or not to reshare it.
I missed that question. I'm sorry.
Like, you know the content, like you can write upload the photo on the app, and you save the photo onto, yeah.
I see. So save the photo that you took on the app.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Well, that whole log itself will be saved on your app, so you can go back and see the photos that you've taken. I don't. It doesn't automatically save to your camera roll if that was what you
right.
were asking.
Yeah, yeah.
It saves to your app itself.
Well, I see. And also, like if you want a desktop, can you actually see the photo on the desktop?
How do you get the photo onto your desktop?
Yeah,
So you will be able to see the photos from your log on your computer using the dashboard. So the web version, the desktop version of the app.
right. Okay. Right.
There's a question here about, and it's a great question, what if you don't know what species you're uploading? So I wrote, there's a category for that too, like for example, shark unknown, jellyfish unknown, species as unknown. But I was also thinking of having an ID me please team. So you could say unknown when you're out there, you could say unknown, and if you get a photo, then you upload the photo to the ID me please team and get an identification and then go and correct it through your dashboard. What do you think about that?
That is a
Would
good
that
idea.
work? Yeah,
Yeah, that could work.
that would be perfect. Okay, good.
It would definitely
Thanks.
have.
And that, yeah, and that ID team will be like, so everyone that is there will get a notification or something like this species is unknown, and anyone can help identify it, no?
Anyone could identify it, and then if it becomes like, if there were too many different options, and then we tag like an expert in that field to help identify it. Because I get asked to identify things all the time, expecting me to be an expert in things, and I'm like, I don't know. I know many sharks, and I'm very good at boring sponges and many corals, but mostly in the Caribbean. So no one's an expert in everything, and I think that that's an important thing with you know, the idea of citizen science is, even if you're an expert trained scientist, you're only an expert in a very few things. And as soon as you leave your area of expertise, you're a citizen scientist like everyone else. Yes, nudibranchs. Oh, yes, I love nudibranchs. That's usually my favorite. When anyone asks me what my favorite animal is, it's a nudibranch. They're very hard to identify too. Yeah. But still, like if you look at something like eBird, eBird has been, there's like, how many species of birds are there? There are 10,000 species or something like this. And so when you think of just sharks, there's 400, and only about 50 of them live within the depth range of a diver, for example. So you really, you know, the number of options are limited compared to the birds, and birds have done very well with these kinds of projects. So.
Okay, are there any other questions?
I did have questions. You said there were daily cleanups. Who's doing those daily cleanups?
Sorry?
Who does the daily cleanups of the beaches?
The city,
okay.
Trash management.
And so was there no social distancing on the beaches? Like, did you, like here we closed our beaches because everyone flooded the beaches, even though it was March and cold. There just wasn't, there were too many people to social distance.
Yeah.
So, and that was back in March. So did that not happen in Belgium?
Yes, it did happen. In some areas in Belgium, they have like private beaches with a hammock and an umbrella that you can rent. So in those areas, it was pretty easy to social distance. But in the areas where it was for free, people were just trying.
So they didn't restrict it.
So they did not respect social distance. and there was quite a high heat wave in July, I think, with almost 30 degrees, and in the beach was full of people, and it was massive. Yeah, and the police had to come to take people outside of the beach.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So that's what happened here.
Yeah.
And then, is there still connectivity? Like, so you said earlier on that a lot of your diving, like divers, go to Netherlands. Is that still allowed, or is there? Are
right
there?
now, well, as far as I know, we're only allowed to dive in swimming pools, and there's diving going in a lake that is here in Ghent. But I think that going to other countries is right now not permitted, and I think that the Netherlands is in a lockdown again, so they cannot dive. And I think now is the end of the diving season anyway.
Okay.
So until next summer,
Right.
they will be diving in the swimming pool.
Okay. Yeah, we have this afternoon. I think we're in the Netherlands. We have a webinar in the Netherlands. So, okay, that's great. That's all my questions. Thank you.
I guess that there will be a lot of lab between Emily's in the Netherlands and mine.
Great.
Here in Belgium.
Yeah. Maybe not.
Yeah, maybe not.
It'll be an interesting one to see. Thank you so much, Claudia, for your time and effort and your willingness on this project. It's so wonderful to have you on board.
It was really nice, the webinar. I don't mind doing it again if you want.
We'll do more. I think like part way through the project, as we start getting data, to start